as Lori mentioned, it takes over 3 minimum wage jobs to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in our county, and the rents are rising. Affordable housing is a critical part of the safety net, both for the obvious reasons of people need a roof over their head, but also because when you spend a reasonable amount on your housing, you have more money for health care, for food, for child care. You may still not be able to totally afford it, as other speakers have talked about, but you at least have more ability to pay for those other needed necessities of life. I'm going to introduce you the other thing about affordable housing is it's a long-term investment that has both immediate benefits. Most affordable housing developments stay affordable for a minimum of 55 to 59 years. So we make an investment, and then that is in our community serving people for many, many years. And when we don't make an investment, we're losing that benefit for many, many, many years. So I'm going to introduce you to some of the people and talk a little bit about the waiting lists on some of these buildings. This is Cassandra, who started college as a single mother. She's now living in Eden Housing's building in Castro Valley. She's first generation in her family to go to college, and she graduated with honors from community college, was a valedictorian of her 4-year college, is now getting a master's. She credits the fact that she could live in affordable housing and support her children there with her ability to get her education and now begin working and supporting them with employment income. And by saying affordable housing allowed me to pursue my degree and become the woman that I am today. No longer am I waiting for someone to save my community. I am the change my community needs. There are 275 other households on the waiting list for those 36 units in that building that she lives in. Many affordable housing programs also link with youth services if they're family housing. If they're not, if they're individual housing, they have other kinds of services. They help with after-school programs and events and scholarships that help support the children and youth that live there. This is a young man who's in a recycling education program. This building, which is in Oakland, also has some formerly homeless people, including Janice, who was homeless with mental health and substance abuse issues, and credits her ability to move into this affordable housing with saving her life. The waiting list is over 2,800 households for 55 units in that building. This affordable housing is in Fremont, and Kashana lives there with her children. She grew up in foster care after her mother was killed due to domestic violence. She graduated high school and worked full-time until she lost her job through no fault of her own, but through the economy, and then went on public assistance. For a while, she was one of those hidden homeless. She was essentially homeless, but often families with young children are able to couch surf or find somewhere to be, which she was lucky enough to do. She then found transitional housing, which allowed her to save money, and then she moved into where she feels blessed to have moved into this building. There are over 1,600 households for the 50 units in this building. This building's in the unincorporated county. It's a family of apartments for 142 units, and this is an example of someone who benefited, a young man who grew up there and whose family still lives there, and through a scholarship program that Eden Housing has, is now studying at UC Davis. Affordable housing not only is better for the people who live there and benefiting the community, it also saves money in other systems of care. And I also have copies of the PowerPoint in the back, so I'm moving through pretty quickly, but there is more information. Zakar is an example of a person with a developmental disability, and he moved into Camilla Place in Dublin. It's his first independent living as an adult. He worked, and he has a job that he used to have to travel on public transportation for 2 hours each way to get there. And now he's a short walk from BART, and it only takes him 30 minutes. This building is in Berkeley. It's got 16 units, and there were 780 applicants when it opened for those 16 units. It targets youth who are transitioning from foster care into adulthood. So 780 for 16 units when it opened. Christina, who is a former foster youth, moved in when it opened, and she's now in college and working towards her 4-year degree. Willie's a veteran who now lives at Merritt Crossings in Oakland, down the street from here. He served in the Vietnam War and then worked and lived in Berkeley for 20 years until a family tragedy threw him off kilter. He became homeless. And then through a temporary housing program that targets veterans, he was able to move into Merritt Crossings. And he feels blessed by the clean and sober environment there and the fact that there's other homeless veterans that he can relate to. The current waiting list, 544 households for 7 units. Ernie P. Harris Court in Berkeley is an example of a single-room occupancy hotel that actually was a motel that was converted into permanent housing. And this is Donald, who is also happy to live there. He has a kitchen, he can support his life, and there's also a community, so he's not as isolated as when he was homeless. So those are just a few of the examples and some of the need for affordable housing in our community. Thank you.